morning, everybody. Let's make sure my audio is actually working today. And this time it is. The last time I went live, my audio was not on properly. Well, good morning. Thank you all for joining another episode of my show. In this series, or on this live stream here at Jeff Bull Tech, I like to talk a lot about time management, goal planning, and really ways to help you find your unique value and apply that to what you do every day. So a lot of what we're going to talk about in this series over the next X number of months is all going to be about, helping you find the time, make the time, and create that rhythm in your life that will really help you, especially now that we're all working from home and have to live with a very different set of dynamics in what we do every day for our schedule. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions throughout the video, if you have any comments, if you just want to talk about the topics or want to dive in a little bit deeper. Also, just a personal ask. This is my second time going live, I think, in this format. And I had some audio issues the last time I went. So if I have any issues today, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear any feedback from you on how things are going. Anyway, hope you're having a wonderful day. So to start off with, my name is Jeff Bull. I happen to be finally in my office shed that I've been building for the better part of 6 months now. So if my background looks different than what you've seen before, that's why. I just did some new stuff in it, like installing some sound tiles and things to try to make the environment a little better and put some custom branding in the show and things like that. Really just trying to make it a little bit more interesting to watch for all of you, and really to kind of set up for today's topic, which is all about goal planning. It's something that is really, really important to me personally, and I have a few key points we're going to go through throughout the show. Before, though, I get into that, I really want to say, if you have comments, put them below, and I want to ask a question. For everyone watching the show, it doesn't have to be a long answer, but for everybody watching the show live or afterwards, have you gone through in the past on your own a goal planning session where you've written out a series of goals, things like that? Have you done that in the past? Just a simple yes or no. I'd love to see that in the comments. Please engage. I'd love to see some info below, because a key part of what it means to plan out your goals is to have things that are meaningful. Now, there's a lot of terms out there or acronyms that you can use. I think SMART is one of them, like 16, like something measurable, actionable, like all these terms. I'm going to try to break this down in a very simplistic way that I think is really impactful for everybody, and try to give you the basis of a process that you can use to create a series of goals and actually be successful at them. The hardest part, personally, that I have found in being successful with goals, first off, is doing them. Actually having some goals written down someplace that you can go back and look at periodically, and then doing those goals. Actually doing the activities that make those goals up. I would say, arguably, the simpler piece of it that is just as hard because it takes a lot more time to put together and we rarely dedicate our own time to doing it, is the planning process. Planning out the details of a goal is the key. And I know that seems probably super rudimentary, but I bring it up because it's a really critical part of actually having goals that are going to work for you, that are meaningful to you personally, that you want to do something with, that you can look back at and they give you inspiration. They motivate you. If goals you've ever had in the past, if you don't find that they actually create any motivational energy for you, or you look at them and go, yes, of course that's what I want to do. Why am I not focusing on it today? I missed. If you're not feeling like that with your goals, they're the wrong goals. Or, more likely, what you wrote down is not actually a goal, it's more of a milestone or a checkbox or a task or something to that effect. So, I'm burying the lead a little bit. I'm going to show you some content here in a minute to talk through what this can mean and how to go about that. But again, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. Please put comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So now let's go ahead and jump into how to actually do this, what the process looks like. So I'm going to switch over here for a sec, and for some reason my background is showing, but my presentation is not. Let me see if this works. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Technology. I love it. Right on. So I've got 3 things on the screen for you. We're going to talk through each of them in detail. They look super simple on this screen, and please ask questions if you have them. But I'm going to talk through the details of what goes into each one. And in a future discussion, I will go through and talk about a more specific structure you can actually use to do this with. Let's start with the first one. So I made a comment before about creating goals that are meaningful to you, and you have to plan those out. So let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago now, my wife is probably going to be watching here soon. She'll keep me honest. 2 or 3 years ago now, my wife and I we were going through some stuff and we decided we really needed to spend time planning our goals out. Neither of us had ever done them in any meaningful way before. So this isn't applicable to everybody. It doesn't really work right now necessarily, but we actually got away for the weekend. We actually went to Southern California where my family lives. We dropped off our son with my parents for a couple days, got a hotel room down in San Diego, and we just spent an entire day goal planning. Now, that scenario really helped us personally and inspired us to get down this process. You don't have to do that. You do them wherever you want. That's not the important point. Let me tell you the part of the rest of the story, though. In the story, what we did is we got up in the morning and went and had some coffee, took some food pictures, which is something we love doing, and wrote down some ideas about what goals are. And we just started talking about them. And we took a walk around the downtown area that we were in, talked about our goals back and forth, and did a gut check for each other. Not critical, but hey, I wrote down these 3 things, hon. This is what I think my goals are. She replied back saying something to the effect of, it doesn't sound like a goal. That sounds like something you would do on the way to a goal. And we challenged each other for about 20, 30 minutes just talking about it, realizing that what we initially wrote down is a milestone towards something bigger. Mike, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. It was a milestone towards something bigger. So we just kept talking it through, and what we ended up getting to was each of us had 3 goals that we really wanted to focus on. So the reason why I have this first note, 3 of them max, is it's key. I always tell anybody who's planning out goals, 1 or 2 goals every 6 months is the most you should do, period. Now, the 3 on there is for a specific reason, because if you really do have things you really want to tackle, I would say then really 3 is the most you should ever do. 1 to 2 is my guide for most people. I would never encourage anyone to tackle more than 3 goals at a time. And here's really the crux of it. As we're going to talk through the rest of this presentation or the rest of this discussion, you really have to plan out your goals to make them effective and to actually have a path to get them completed. Because as I'm starting to learn more and more myself, it's not necessarily about the outcome. It's not the end result of that goal. What it's about is the journey to getting there. All the things you do in between now and that point is really the completion of the goal. The end result, the goal, is basically a way for you to say, this project, if I look at it from a project management standpoint, this project that I'm working on will be completed once all these tasks and milestones are done. Well, that completion state is your goal. That you've hit the result. It's really forcing you to focus on that journey. Well, if you don't plan out that journey, that roadmap to getting to the end, or the pathway to getting to the end, then it kind of doesn't matter what you put as the end result. You're never going to get there, and it won't be meaningful to you. Even if you do reach it, it's not going to be meaningful for you. So in order to do that effectively, you can't have 5, 6, 7 goals. There's no way that you can do that kind of planning and hit them all with that many. 1 to 2 is really a good sweet spot, because then you have something very key that you can focus on, and you can really focus on in a reasonable period of time. 3 would be the most, because maybe you need to tackle 3, and that's totally fine if that's something you really want to do. Just know that to do this effectively, there's a lot of planning involved. And ask yourself, do you think you can really do that and be effective with your time, your family, your business, whatever, with that much effort around 3 different goals? It's a good question to ask. Okay, so number 2. This should be no surprise to anybody. I have mentioned it before in my videos, and most people know this. You have to have a why. You've got to know why you want to complete a goal. I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan, so all the credit to him on this. If you don't know your why, the what and the how make 0 difference. How you get to a completion makes no difference if you don't know why the heck you're even doing it. So you need to, as you're writing out your goal, and you go through some iterations, you do this process with a partner. By the way, side note, try to do this with a partner. Your spouse, a best friend, a work colleague, whoever you want, someone you trust, they can give positive feedback back and forth in a constructive way. You need to collaborate with somebody, because if you can collaborate with somebody, it's so much easier to see get a different perspective. You don't have to, but it's really, really helpful. And I think honestly, it's one of the most important and most fun parts of this process. You need to know your why. If you can't articulate why you want to complete a goal, how could you ever hope to have the energy to get to that point? Because the why is the important part. I could keep saying it in circles, but that's all I think I need to say on this one. You have to have why. And more importantly, once you know why you want a goal, when you write it out, whether it's I have some sheets of paper I've been doing notes on today, a sheet of paper, or my wife and I did these big 30 by 40 poster boards we taped on the wall, whatever, on that goal sheet someplace, you need to write down, why do I want this? What's the thing that I can look back at all the time that I go, oh, yes. So an example for you, all of you, one of the goals I put down for myself was to feel healthier. It wasn't losing weight. It wasn't all the other things that go into feeling healthier. It was just, I want to feel healthy. That's my goal. But I had to write down a why. And the story for myself was 2 days before that, I had gone to play with my son, who was like 2.5 or so at that time. And when I went to bend over, pick him up, I was like 38. My knees started popping and hurting. I'm like, I am not even 40 and my knees are killing me. I'm like, I want this goal of be feeling healthy. I know I'll lose weight. I know I'll build healthy habits, but it was because I didn't want my body to hurt by the time I was 40 going to play with my son. Like, I want to be outside riding scooters with him and having a good time. I don't want to be in pain. That sucks. That's not fun. That was my why. So every time I went to go back and check on the goals to see what progress am I making, I could look at that why and say, okay, yes, that's why I wanted this. My knees hurt right now. Okay, what am I doing to get to that point? So make that why super impactful for you, because it's something it needs to be emotional and meaningful for you. All right, lastly, build in rewards. I mean, what's the point of doing a goal process if there's no positive outcome at the end? I mean, granted, the outcome you're getting to is the goal, and knowing that you're satisfied in the fact that you completed a goal and hit that journey, yeah, that is fantastic. And it'd be nice if we all were motivated purely by the love of the journey to an outcome. In reality, we all work really well with the rewards. And knowing that you're going to get something for yourself or do something nice for yourself at the end that's really something you just want helps. It helps a ton. So these don't need to be big deals. If you want to spend a lot of money, that's fine, but there's no necessity for that. A reward is just something you're going to do for yourself that will make you feel good, whatever that happens to be. I know we're in COVID, so some of the examples I would normally give are like, get a cool haircut or, do something in public, whatever that happens to be, some activity for yourself. I know that's not all of those are applicable right now because of the situation that we're all in. I will say, though, that any reward you can put down for yourself, whether it's buying yourself gear for your studio, like I'm going to probably do for myself with one of my goals, some new Nanoleaf lights for my background. That's one thing you can do. But it doesn't have to be anything that expensive or that glamorous. It can be something as simple as a new pair of walking shoes because I burned through mine getting to my fitness goal. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You need to have a reward for yourself so that when you're looking at this, and the rewards can be, by the way, they don't need to just be for the goal completion itself. They could be for your milestones. If you want to add micro rewards for yourself, like a gift card to someplace or whatever that happens to be, do it. Add little rewards. Something to keep you motivated, because the whole point of this is to motivate you to get there. This should not be a struggle. It shouldn't be hard. If it is, then you've put too many barriers in front of yourself, and then you really should ask yourself at that point, is this something I even want? Now, I'm going to pause there for a minute. That's a lot of information. I know we've got a few viewers watching live now. Thank you guys again. Thank you all again very much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or want any clarification, definitely post them in the comments. I'm watching those. I would love the conversation about this and the dialogue. It's a lot of work to get there. I will say, let me take a step back here. When I say rewards and these steps and all the things I'm talking about, the key for all of this is to make sure that what you are doing remains important to you. So a key guide I give everybody, and my wife and I try to do this ourselves, is we do goals over a 6-month period. Is that a sweet spot? For us, yes. It doesn't mean it will be for you. The time period for you is completely up to whatever makes sense for you. I will say this, however. I would never do them any longer than 6 months, and I never do it any shorter than 3 months. And here's why. If it's shorter than 3 months, it's really difficult to get through all the stuff you need to get through, or that you've set out for yourself to get through in a 3-month period, in addition to your life, your work, and other things you need to deal with your family on a daily basis. So just know that 3 months is really tough because it just has to be super, super quick. And the question then becomes, is that goal, that outcome, so meaningful enough to try to rush through it in 3 months? Conversely, if it's any longer than 6 months, like a year, we all know how New Year's resolutions work. If you try to set a goal for yourself for an entire year, you're not going to check back in until 6 months or 8 months, you are going to lose momentum for it. Full stop. It just will happen. There are a few people out there who are really good at just keeping themselves motivated. That is definitely the exception, not the rule. Most of us, I will say that pretty confidently, most people need that prodding, need something to keep them motivated throughout the way. So my wife and I have found that a 6-month period is really sweet, is a really good place because you can check in every few months, see where you're at, work on that with another person, see the person you did the goals with and say, hey, how are you doing? Let's just talk about it a little bit, see where we're at. And more importantly in that process, you need to ask yourself, is the goal that I wrote down and set out for myself at the beginning of the 6-month period really what I want to still be going for? You don't need my permission, but I'm going to give you permission right now. It is totally okay to change your goals midway. If halfway through that process, you realize that one of the goals you're going for is no longer relevant or it's just not interesting for you anymore in the way that you set it out, scrap it. and replace it with something else. That is totally okay. Do not force yourself to continue to work on something that has lost meaning to you, because you will not get there. It will drain on your mental energy and it'll make your mindset much more fixed. You want to maintain that growth mindset, so you're always looking for something to help you improve. You can stop a goal halfway through or 2/3 of the way through. That is okay. Don't feel like you are doing something wrong or you have failed. It just means that the goal isn't relevant anymore. So replace it with something else. You still need to keep yourself accountable to that new goal, but create something new for yourself that is actually meaningful. Or if you've completed the goal, great. Go back and add a new goal in to complete for the next period of time, whatever. But don't feel like you're obligated to hold on to something because there's some rule floating around out there that says you have to do that. Any questions you have, please put them below. I sincerely appreciate everyone joining today. I know this is a big topic, and I'm going to actually post probably on my website, jeffbultech.com, some more detailed guide with some templates on how to actually go through and do this. Something that my wife and I use, but you can turn that into whatever makes sense for you. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, I would love you to subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live every week at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's the target. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I'll be going to live here on the same channel. So keep up on LinkedIn, Twitter, here on YouTube or Instagram. I'll be keeping updates periodically of what the new topic is going to be and what we're doing. I'd love to see you next week. So hit subscribe on the channel for notifications about that. A like for any of the videos would be fantastic. It really does help the videos boost up there so more people get to see it. And if you have more comments as the time goes by, please add them in. I'm watching those, and we'll use it to iterate the discussion going forward. Thank you all so much. Mike, thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure who else, I can't see who else is on right now, but I really appreciate everybody who joined live and watched. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you.